So let's go for the rapid fire first. We'll start with one of you or all of you. All of you. But paper में आप अकेले बैठे होगे. ये कड़वी सच्चाई है. This is the reality of life. When you have to face challenges, you're all alone. When you have good days, money and everything, you have a friend. A lot of people will be there. So let's go for this thing. The timing of Norman conquest. In which city of England the first epidemic, Black Death, it broke out? City of England. Everybody knows England. Those who know Dorset. Perfect answer. Dorset. Remember the city. It is the Dorset city. Just like COVID. COVID started in Wuhan. Wuhan, China. So this can be a good question. We know England, we know London, but the first city was Dorset. What was the timing of Black Death? 13? Shiprika? What was the percentage of population that died in Black Death? How many people? 1/3 population. Like in a roundabout way, it is said about 33% people died. Why this is very important? Because this is one of the first epidemic plus a kind of thing where the role of the king, the role of the church got questioned. My first question related to church is, Wycliffe translated somebody's earlier translation. Who got translated by Wycliffe? Wycliffe translated somebody's Bible. Who is that somebody? Jerome's Bible, also called Vulgate's Bible. Vulgate's Latin Bible, also called Saint Jerome's Bible, that got translated in English by Wycliffe. Who translated the first New Testament into English? William Tyndale. Name the famous person who has been called the precursor of modern socialism. The precursor of modern socialism. आधुनिक समाजवाद को start करने वाला. Use your brain. It's easy. Shiva. Perfect answer. Thomas More, the first person who talked about democratic ideas, a life like democracy. Thomas More is called the first person, the precursor, the father of modern socialism, who has famously written Castle of Health. Castle of Health, come on. Castle of Health. Did you revise? When I taught you, I told you this is the idea of modern gym. The writer talks about the training for the youth. Now there are two options, Thomas Eliot or Rosa Resham. Confused? That's what I'm asking. Who wrote Toxophilus? Who was tutor to Queen Elizabeth? Who has written Every Man in His Humor? What was the name of the character that was played by Shakespeare? The first publication of sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets, published by Thomas Thorpe. Publication year. All the Shakespearean plays published in. Yes, first folio. What are the names of the actors who published it? Name the university wit who did not belong to university. Who has written Hieronymus is Mad Again? There was a writer for whom it is said that kid made him bleed white. Who? Which play starts with the opening line, if music be the food of love, play on? What is the name of the beloved of Toby Belch in 12th Night? Mario is the right answer. What is the name of the disguise of Voila? Voila's disguise. Portia also disguises herself as a lawyer. Balthazar. There was a question in your exam, in test paper also. The character Isis, E-G-E-U-S, Isis, Midsummer Night Dream. What are the names of the couples in Midsummer Night Dream? 4 characters. Hermia, Lysander, Helena and Demetrius. Much Ado About Nothing. It has 4 characters, important characters. What are the names? Hero, Claudio, Benedict and Beatrice. In which Shakespearean play we have a corrupt judge who forces a woman to sleep with him? Miser for Miser. Why Othello does not kill Iago in the end of the story? Because of the new king and his idea of Pax Romana, Pax Britannia, inspired from Pax Romana. James I liked himself to be considered like Augustus Caesar. Who is Augustus Caesar? Nephew of Julius Caesar, one of the greatest king in Rome who brought prominence, name and fame. Name the famous writer who wrote a satire, a mock heroic work on a personal issue of a girl, Arabella Fermor and Lord Peter. Who will tell me 3 different publications of Rape of the Lock? 1712, 1714. What is the name of Belinda's brother? What is the name of Belinda's dog? What is the name of Belinda's parrot? Now, there was a question in NET exam also. The name Belinda has been taken from the 3 moons of Uranus. In which book we have Rosicrucian mythology employed? Coleridge called somebody the best modern poet. Also the question of your test paper. Coleridge said this man is the best modern poet. Who? Did we complete modern age in the class? Why would I ask questions from W.B. Yeats? Logic lagao. If I have to go for rapid fire, I will go from the topics that we have done in the class. Coleridge called him best modern poet. Who is him here? You know the person, but I'll give you the clues. The person lost his mother at the age of 6, got the portrait of his mother after 59 years. William Cooper has been called the best modern poet for his symbolism. We have talked about that. You know, remember I told you this personal side? He was scared of people, so he actually turned towards God. And the mysticism, the idea of mysticism, symbolism, these are related to W.B. Yeats. These are related to T.S. Eliot. Name the famous writer from Scotland whose birthday is celebrated as Burns Night. Robert Burns. Question of NET exam, what is the date? 25th January. Now a tough question. Most of the people, most of the students make a mistake. The difference between plowman poet and peasant poet. Who is a plowman poet? Who is a peasant poet? We did in class. I told you people get confused. See, you are confused. Who is plowman poet? Who is peasant poet? Selvi. बहुत बढ़िया answer. John Clare. So don't make mistakes here. Remember, it can confuse you. Who has written Tom O'Shanter? Tom O'Shanter. See, you got confused because you know Tom Jones, so you're connecting Tom Jones and Tom O'Shanter. Tom O'Shanter written by Selby. बहुत बढ़िया. Making us proud. Perfect. Yes, it's Robert Burns. Who has written a famous story where there is a line, "O Elma, redemptive soul"? Whose tale is that? Robert Henryson wrote a famous work based on Troilus and Cresside. Troilus and Robert Henryson. Testament of Cresside. Testament of Cresside. Who has been called the first poet laureate of Scotland? First poet laureate of Scotland. William Dunbar. Perfect answer. बहुत बढ़िया answer है. The timing of Elizabethan age? Francis Bacon was called Lord Viscount Veruculum, Sir Francis Bacon. His father was having a royal post. What was the post of his father? Lord Keeper of the Seal. Francis Bacon used to have a style filled with idioms, proverbs. What is the word used for that style? Aphorism. We have one more question from romantic writers. Where do we get this line? Where are the songs of spring? Where are they? Think not of them. O2? O2 west wind? O2 autumn. Thou still unravished bride of quietness. Truth is beauty, beauty is truth. That's all we know. Who has been called the most Hellenic poet of England? Hellenism. John Keats. Now, there is a proper question. And this question is again from the odes of Keats. Find out the ode. Heard melodies are sweet, those unheard are sweeter. Where do we get the opening line? Much have I traveled in the realms of gold. Now, much have I traveled in the realms of gold. It is on first looking into Chapman's Homer. Keats studied Homer, but that was Chapman's translation. My question is, Chapman translated Homer in which year? 1616. Now another question is, where do we get this line? I met a traveler from an antique land. When we did this question, I told you about this. Antique land is a title taken for Amitav Ghosh. And what is the theme? What does he discuss in this story? The Jewish culture. Destruction of libraries. Libraries were having books of Jewish culture. That's a non-fiction, creative non-fiction. One more question, and now this is from P.B. Shelley. You can answer me this thing in an easy way. Where do we get the line? If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Ode to the West Wind has the description of west wind. Shelley talks about the influence of west wind on three things. What are those three things? Leaves, clouds, waves. William Wordsworth wrote a story about a boy. There is an old woman. She's feeling cold. She wants some words. Okay. बहुत बढ़िया. Okay. Name the famous writer who keeps on saying this, that his character has been shaped by nature, with three examples. One of the famous example, plucking the flower and throwing it away. Second example, stealing the boat. Wordsworth. Where do we get this narration? In which book we have these narrations? Preludes. What is the subtitle of Prelude? Growth of Poet's Mind. What is another subtitle? Poem to Coleridge. How many books were there originally written by Wordsworth in Prelude? Why not 14? Yes. Originally 13 books are written by him. 14th book is added by his wife as a memoir, right? Who has... Okay, there is again a question from Wordsworth. What was the language of the song that he listens and... पहले आंसर दे दिया. Okay, again. What is the language of the song that he is listening in Solitary Reaper? Yes. It is not the answer, rustic language. Rural language. No, because he says, I can't understand the language. So when he is not able to understand the language, we cannot say it is rustic. Or, see, he talks about rusticism, he talks about rural things, so maybe we connect. But that's not the right answer. Now, in which poetry we have these lines? In oft my coach when I lie, in pensive mood, they flash upon my eye. Daffodils? Chalo, ek acha question hai. This is from the Cavalier writers. I could not love thee, loved I the honor more. Who has written that? Richard Lovelace. Name of the poetry? Tulcasta going to war. And the same writer has another lines. Iron bars do not make a prison make. Mind's quiet take as an hermitage. Again Richard Lovelace. To Althea from prison. Where do we get this line? To the virgins to make the best of time. Gather the rosebuds while in May. That same flower smells today. Tomorrow shall be dying. Hesperides. And the name of the poetry is To the virgins to make the best of time. Which metaphysical poet has talked about carpe diem philosophy? What do you mean by the word coy? The question the exam ka exactly as it question tha. In this thing, he talks about time and other things, right? When Andrew Marvell is talking to his beloved, he takes examples of Indian river. जो अभी लास्ट का महाराष्ट्र सेट था ना, लास्ट महाराष्ट्र सेट, उसमें दूसरी नदी क्या थी? आई बाय द साइड ऑफ हम्बर, हम्बर स्ट्राइड. उसमें था हम्बर और कौन कौन से रिवर्स है? गंगा और हम्बर. ठीक है. We have to go for the Elizabethan dramatist questions, right? So one more question. Tragedies, Shakespearean tragedy we did not touch. How many witches are there in Macbeth? 3. Who has been called the fourth witch? Damn with the crimson hands. Damn with the crimson hands. Whose line is this? That actually got changed. This was changed by Bowdler. It was earlier, damn with these bloody hands. So it got changed like in the word crimson. Tell me the man who kills Macbeth. Who kills Macbeth? What were the next prophecies of the witches? What will happen when and how can Macbeth be defeated? They will give you the question like this. That pick the right pair. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Pick the right pair. So what was the next prophecy of the witches? The first thing, you will not be defeated until unless the wood of Birnam walks. Second important prophecy. No mortal man with an ordinary birth. You know, this was the trick, the ordinary birth. So Macduff, when he comes to face Macbeth, he says that I am not the natural birth, ordinary birth. I am through operation, cesarean. So technically that was abnormal, that is abnormal. So technically this is how he fulfills the prophecy. Where do we get this line? Act and scene. Tell me the act and scene. Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Act 5? The title taken from by William Faulkner from this line. What is the name of the book? The title taken from Shelley's poetry, which was written by Noel Coward. What is the name of the book? Blitz Spirit, anti-feminist work. In which Shakespearean work we have a funny character who thinks Queen is in love with him? Malvolio. He thinks Malvolio, Puritan. He thinks Olivia is in love with him. In which book we have a funny character, comic character, Parson Adams? Parson Adams is a funny character. He is based on a Spanish character. Cervantes, yeah, Miguel de Cervantes, famous book and the funny character. Sancho Panza, yes. Cervantes wrote Don Quixote. What was the real name of Don Quixote? Alonso Quijano. बहुत बढ़िया, very good. Okay, there is again a question from Tom Jones only. In Tom Jones, finally Tom gets married to. Finally किससे शादी होती है? He goes for multiple affairs. Sophia Weston. She is based on Fielding's own. Henry Fielding started a newspaper of his own and he would write with a pseudonym. What was the name of the newspaper? What was the name of the pseudonym? Hercules Vinegar is the pseudonym. Name of the newspaper? Come on. Champion. Coleridge also started a newspaper. What was the name of Coleridge newspaper? For whom it is said that all he has written can be bound within 20 pages, but the cover will be of pure gold. Who wrote these lines for Coleridge? Stobart Brooke. What is the birth rate of P.B. Shelley? Birth date of Wordsworth? For somebody, okay, listen to the question. For somebody who was against the king but accepted the poet laureateship, another somebody wrote Lost Leader. Who are these two somebodies? William Wordsworth is the first somebody. He was against the king, but then he accepted poet laureateship. Another somebody who didn't like it, Robert Browning. He wrote Lost Leader. So who is Lost Leader here? And what does he say? What are the lines? For a ribbon to stick his coat, for a handful of money, he left us, our lost leader. Wordsworth used to write about people and nature and other things. In Prelude, there are main 13 books, then the 14th book. Out of all these books, those two books which are totally filled with enthusiasm, activeness, energy, inspired from French Revolution. Simple question is, out of all these 14 books, in which book we have more references of French Revolution? 9 and 10. Book 9 and 10 are totally based on French Revolution. Whose line is this? Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive. To be young was very heaven. चलो ठीक है, एक last question पूछता हूँ. It will be a last question for the rapid fire. Let's see who can answer it. So raise your hands, who can answer it. I will ask a last question. I am going to sum up this thing with the last question. Raise your hands if you can answer it. Why are you having half hands? If you're confused, half like, then don't do it. It's okay. Or you're waiting for the question. You're waiting for my question. That was the last question. Are you ready for tomorrow? कल सुबह आँख खोलोगे ना? कल क्या होगा? You know that? Do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? But you're still ready na? That's what I want. Don't wait for the question that, okay, I'll go to the question first. If it's easy, then only I'll raise my hand. Be prepared. क्या होगा? ज़्यादा नहीं आएगा. We need the spirit. That was my last question. You don't know what will come in paper, but you are preparing, right? So be ready. आएगा नहीं आएगा is secondary. Whether you'll be able to answer or not, it doesn't get counted. What's more important? Are you ready or not? So if you're ready, आने तो question देखा जाएगा. देखो सीधी सी बात है, आएगा तो बहुत अच्छा है, नहीं आएगा तो ये तो पता चलेगा क्या नहीं आता है. If you have a plastic polythene and you're carrying water and you get to know where is hole, so it's good na, because you can work on it. You can fill it, you can paste something, you can apply something, you can save it. So अगर नहीं आएगा तो अच्छी बात है. If somebody comes to me, Vineet Pandey, I will tell you 10 latest topics you have never heard. I'll be very happy. Because next 5 minutes he will tell me 10 topics, and after those 5 minutes I will work, and I'll study, and within few days, those 10 things which were not known to me will be known to me. ये spirit चाहिए. Next time, whenever I say, who will answer this question? Raise your hands. Even if you have doubt in your heart, raise your hands. Because this takes time. This spirit from here to here, it takes time. तो अगली बार नहीं भी आता है ना, और मैं पूछता हूँ कि कौन बताएगा, हाथ उठाओ. धीरे धीरे हैबिट आ जाएगी. It takes time. ये एक दिन में नहीं होता, I know that. चलो, let's go for the test paper solution. Many of you have done great answers. Some of you have to learn. We'll go for the test papers.